I'm here with Heather, and how do you pronounce your last name?
Hi, Varnan.
Hi, Varnan. Okay,
Skip
okay,
the I in the middle and you'll be fine.
okay. All right, and she is in the greater Philadelphia area, which she says she just loves living there. And you're looking forward to the winter?
I am. Winter. We lived in the Midwest for 15 years, and winters here are so mild in comparison.
Right.
I love the seasons, but it only gets to like 30 degrees here regularly, so it's really nice
Okay, okay.
compared to the 10 or 15 degrees it got to in the Midwest.
Well, one of the things that I think you were probably one of the fastest person in my mastermind to get ROI on the training, like within
Yes.
5 days. And that
That's
was
crazy.
really, really incredible that you were able to do that. Tell me a little bit about what you learned that actually got you to get ROI in such a quick amount of time.
Well, in this case, I had come into the mastermind running a T-shirt, believe it or not, which is not something you teach, but it was going really well for me. It was a T-shirt I was selling for Father's Day, but I had no retargeting up at all, and I didn't know how to run the retargeting correctly. And I was doing a lot of volume on the T-shirt, and the retargeting, like as soon as I implemented the retargeting stuff that you taught, I instantly started making like much better margins and a ton more money, and it was really cool. So yeah,
Great.
I ROI'd on the cost of the program like immediately through the retargeting on that particular T-shirt. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
And then, so now, what kinds of things were you able to do because of, now you have this greater understanding of how to do retargeting and do your ads and do the scaling and things like that. What kinds of changes has that made for you, in your life?
That's a good question. The biggest, the biggest and most important change is that I'm much more confident I can pay for my daughter's tuition,
Oh,
which,
great.
which is my number one financial priority at the moment. Kendra is a really smart kid who has dyslexia,
Uh-huh.
and so she has to go to a private school because the public schools around here are great, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not very good for non-neurotypical kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so she goes to a private school where she gets on honor roll and just does really exceedingly well. And
Okay.
so to keep her in the private school that's how I use the money that I'm
Okay.
making from my business. I don't know if that's what you're asking,
No,
but
that's fine. No, what the biggest, a big benefit, we always want, we go into something because we want something to change in our life.
right.
And the ability to do things like that, like, I mean, I have two daughters that go to university, and for me, I've always I didn't want them to have debt when they're done with
Right.
school. So they're going to be able to graduate university without any debt. And I mean, with the knowledge that you have as she goes through school, you're going to be able to do similar things.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so that's really important to me. Yeah, just because it's amazing. It's just an amazing change for her because she was failing out of public school and now
Uh-huh.
she's getting A's and B's and an honor roll because we can send her to a school where she can learn
Right.
appropriately. So
Right.
for me, that's the major, major benefit.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a huge thing that you're able to do.
Yeah.
Also, when you at and I don't remember the exact date when you joined the mastermind, but what interested you in in the Frank Keeney Ecommerce Mastermind?
There's a couple things. First of all, there are so many gurus out there who don't do what they teach. Like they just sell courses and have no clue what they're doing. Those people are annoying. So
Okay.
um, I knew that you did what you teach and that you make it
Uh-huh.
work. And so that was a big appeal to me. The second thing is I've been running 8 Facebook ads for like, I don't know, 4 years now.
Okay.
And I joined about a year ago because I saw that the ad platform was changing,
Uh-huh.
that it was going to a more, you couldn't just throw product pictures up anymore and expect it to
Right.
work. So I had to learn a new skill set. And for me, the video ads was the most important skill set. And the other thing that I think is appealing to me is that as you learn to choose products well, and as you learn to create good video ads, you have you do spend a lot more time on the upfront end, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to test so many fewer products. And
Right.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So have you found that you're testing fewer products,
Right.
but that means that your success rate is higher?
Yes. The success rate is definitely higher. I would say most things, actually, I can't remember the last time I tested a product. I didn't have it sell at all. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not profitable.
Right.
It is profitable. Sometimes you can have things sell at a loss, but at
Right.
least I can't remember the last time I tested a product and it had 0 sales.
Okay.
And then you figure one out of 4 or 5 will become at least a modest winner, and then you start developing those products over time. At least that's how it is for me.
Right.
So as I learn to select better products, more interesting products, learn how to position them correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
So do you find, okay, so this is, I'm really just asking you this. So with the, now you have, like you said, you've got to put this work up front. So that makes it so you are much more selective about the products that you're going to promote.
Right. Yes, for sure. And so I also like the pulling the products in before
Mm-hmm.
you promote them so you can take the video, because then you're selling something quality and not just junk.
Right.
Like I don't like selling junk. It doesn't make
Right.
me feel good. It kind of makes me nauseous. So
Yeah.
I like to know that I'm selling a quality product.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I found, the same thing. So when I transitioned, it was about 3.5 years ago, I transitioned from image ads. I was just seeing, I could see that definitely video is going to be the future, and where the future is now. So much of Facebook is now video, and then immediately when I made that transition from images to video, that I saw this enormous. Not only did it worked better, my cost per CPA, the cost per purchase went down. And what I also found is that instead of campaigns or ad sets running for a month or two, I could run things for 9 months, a year, and a year plus with video ads.
That's a huge difference and a huge advantage too.
Yeah. So you were transitioning. So when you started, had you done a video ad before, or?
I'd done slideshow ads, but never a full video ad. Yeah. And I think there's another advantage that video ads give you that you don't get with other forms of advertising, and that is that most people are really lazy and they won't do it. And so if you're willing to put in that upfront work,
right,
and really make a great video, then you just are more likely to be successful as far as just standing out from the competition.
Right. Well, and also having the ability to create your own compelling video ads, by creating your own versus there are those who will just steal somebody else's. And that there's a big risk there in losing it, not only having the legal issues, but also losing your Facebook ad account.
Well, and Facebook now is getting, I've watched in the forums, Facebook now is getting really good at detecting that. And so they will, if you steal other people's ads, they'll give you higher cost per ad, higher CPMs, everything gets more expensive. So at least that's what I've seen people chat about.
Right. Well, that's what I see when things aren't quite right when you're not doing things quite right on Facebook, then your ads just aren't as effective with that. So, all right. So what do you remember, like the first thing I instructed you through that really made a big difference that we kind of spent with?
I think for me, it's been product selection.
Okay.
Just learning how to pick interesting products that have a unique angle. So, and learning how to, how do they say, learning how to get the angle right on how you present the product.
Okay.
So not just saying this, this is a cell phone, but saying what the benefit is of that particular product.
Right, exactly. And that And did that make a big difference
It
with your
made
advertising?
it made a huge difference. If you remember that first ad that I did that was successful, that was my first moderate success, we tried it 3 times. And the first
Uh-huh.
time it was like, it's this XYZ product. And then the second time it was like, oh, let's flip it because the product did 2 things. And the third time I actually did a benefit, like this product does this to help you. And at that point it started selling.
Right. So
So
you bring up an important point. So there was a process that you went through. Let everybody know what that was like in our group. In the way I worked together with people in the group, and
right.
how you were able to take that and improve it to the point where it was starting to do well.
It kind of reminds me of, okay, so I like to write. I'm a writer. It's part of actually how I make
Okay.
my living, in addition to this other stuff I do. So it kind of reminds me of writing class in like high school, where you turn in your draft to your teacher and then they start marking it up.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh man, I thought I did good. But then you go back, you take the feedback, and
Right.
you improve it, and you turn it in again, and they mark it up again, and then you take it, and you give the feedback, and you turn it in, and at the end, you have a nice polished product. So
Right.
working with you is kind of like being, in a high school writing class.
oh. Well, you're making more money than high school writing
Yes.
class.
I don't mean it in a bad way, but like
Right.
you get feedback so you can improve your
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
And it's really valuable because, so many courses are just a set of videos or like, or maybe somebody giving you some like really vague
Right.
instructions that I don't find them very helpful. Like I really find that I like the combination of the videos that show you the basics and then having
Right.
somebody to give you some feedback on a regular basis
Right.
to be really helpful.
Right. And you had that. I mean, you have that feedback. If you had something, a revision, you didn't have to just wait for the group call. It was also there with the, it was the ongoing support,
Right.
throughout. So it wasn't just some, like you said, it's the mastermind is not just. So that was, you've in the mastermind, you have access to me in Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the process is you just post your video, and then you get feedback from me directly there.
Right. Yes. I found that very, very helpful.
Right.
Yeah. Or like product selection
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, oh, what about these products? And you're like, yes, 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 no. But you didn't just tell me yes and no. You told me why.
Right.
Like why you think one thing would work and one thing wouldn't work.
Right. So when I set up my mastermind, what was very important to me is that people understand why things work. And the process that I set up for the reviews, and then we do the weekly calls. Those are you do a video, and we kind of talk about it, and that whole process. Did that help you learn why certain things work and why other things don't?
Yes, very much so. Absolutely.
Okay. So,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Particularly the difference between, how to find the products that have an angle that you can promote, but not too many angles. Like there's this, because me, like one of my big weaknesses is I like things that could do 20 different things, but sometimes that's actually bad. Right. And like it took me some time to learn that. So
yeah. Yes. So, but on the ongoing support through Skype in the mastermind, you were able to find things, get your video ads working, mm-hmm. and get feedback from me on exactly what you needed to do next on that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, so where do you see yourself going with Facebook ads and where are you going in that? So you have some plans for fourth quarter or for 2019?
Yes, both, all of the above.
Okay.
In the next year, we're hoping to gosh, there's a lot of places we're going, but the goal now is to get into a regular testing cycle.
Okay.
So that has been my weakness. I've been a little bit sporadic. I still made it work, but not as well as big as I could, and that's all about execution.
Right.
And so the goal is to get into a regular testing cycle, which I'm pretty close to now.
Okay.
And so I have products coming in, and I'm starting to make the videos on a regular basis and launching them on a regular basis. And so I'm looking to find I'm hoping to find a good 5 or 6 really big winning products over the next year or so.
Okay.
Excuse me. So that when we moved to Pennsylvania, we were renting a house. We moved back from the Midwest, so we can buy a house. So that's the next big goal.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So the things that you market, are they something you're passionate about, or is it? Tell us a little bit about how you pick things and the types of people you sell to. Oh, you dropped off for just a moment. Oh, I can't hear you.
God.
There. Now I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay. So do you market things that you're passionate about?
That's a good question. I was in retail sales my whole life, and so okay. I like to sell stuff. I market things that I understand.
Okay.
What they do. A passion. The thing I'm passionate about is making the register go ching. Like honestly. So as long as it's an ethical product that does what it says it does, right. I'm happy to market it. As long as I understand what it does and understand the market somewhat. Yeah,
it's understanding your product and understanding your target audience.
Yes.
So if you've been in retail, you understand how that all works. Yes.
Yeah. So my passion is I like to sell things. So for me, seeing people buy stuff is the most exciting thing. Like I've done $20,000 days in the past, and that's really fun when that happens. Like so fun.
Yeah.
So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah. So what would, if there's one transformational thing that you learned in the mastermind, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing is mindset.
Okay.
Which is and this is something you almost have to relearn all the time. It's not like a one and done kind of thing, but the ability to work hard and in a disciplined manner, and to just keep going and keep learning and keep improving, and to know that event, have kind of like faith that it's going to pay off. Right. So I think that's the hardest part, because even with a higher success rate, you might be looking at 3 or 6 or 8 weeks before you find a winning product, and so you really just have to keep pushing.
Right.
And that takes discipline.
Yes. Well, like you said, if the work is done up front, like anything that an entrepreneur does, that you have to do the work up front and then see if it works, and then and then if it works, that's great. If not, what are you going to change to make that different?
Exactly.
Right.
And it's that mindset that really takes. It's that mindset, I think, that is probably the most important piece. And right. I watched, you have an opening video on that, and I think I watched that video like I don't know, 30 or 40 times.
Oh, really? Okay. I am always. I'm glad you gave me that feedback, because I always think people just skip that and go on to something else. So
no, actually, I think that's the most important video in the course for me. It has
good.
Because once you learn the skills, they're just they're skills. Like you get the skills, like riding a bike. You get the skill, you keep the skill, you just keep improving on the skill. But I think the mental game is the hardest part. And for me, that video at the very front of the course that talks about the mental piece of the puzzle is the most valuable in the entire course. Not that the skills aren't important. Clearly the skills are important, but the skills are worth nothing if you don't actually do the work.
Yeah, you need to be able to execute. And in order to do that, you can't just do all the same, you can't just do the same thing you've been doing in the past. You have to start doing something different. And often that means you need to carve out time to be able to do that. So
and it's incredibly uncomfortable to do something different. You just have to, you talk about that in that video, that you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Right. You have to be willing to like feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I can do this in your gut, and just do it anyway. That's courage. Right. That's what courage looks like.
Exactly. And now as entrepreneurs, we should be feeling that every single day. Yeah. We're doing something uncomfortable. I'm not sure who said this, but one thing I always remember is that someone said, you should be doing something every single day. You should do something that scares you.
Yes, yes.
I don't know who said that, but that is always in my mind.
I think entrepreneurs thrive on that feeling, a little bit at least. I think in some ways, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you almost have to like that, like in some ways. Right. Like you almost have to at least embrace it.
Right. So give me an overall feel about how you felt about the overall support as you were going through the whole process. What was that like in the mastermind?
I think for me, I've hired a couple of pretty high-end coaches over the course of what I've done. And for me, this is probably the most valuable course I've done, honestly. So it's got a really good combination of the weekly calls and the videos, which are very detailed, and it's not just like, there's really nothing left to chance, which I like a lot. And it's very pragmatic. I'm not a big pie in the sky kind of thinker. Like, I mean, I have big goals, but like you have to have, marketing is a skill set, and this course teaches you the skill set for this particular type of marketing.
Great. So, and then when you hit like a speed bump or some sort of problem, what was that support like when you needed something? Like,
I think it's excellent. I have several times hit speed bumps where I just feel like, I can't do this anymore. And I've reached back out and been like, hey, can I get help with product selection or whatever? And like, you're always there. And, I bring the products and you're like, okay, this one, not this one. And it saves me a lot of time and money, really. Or I bring you a video and you're like, okay, this is why this video isn't working. I'm like, oh, I should have seen that, So. But I'm learning a lot, through the process. So
yeah. So what's your number one piece for those that are watching right now? What would be your number one piece of advice that you would give to those that are watching?
Pay attention to the people who are successful and not the people who aren't. Because the internet has created huge amounts of tremendous opportunity. I mean, like, could you imagine, Frank? I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 44. Like, when I was in high school, there was no way that anybody would have said to me, oh, you're going to be running a business where you sell stuff to people all over the world from your living room. Like, that wasn't even possible. It was like, my best hope was like being a data entry clerk, or something.
Right.
This, like, the internet has opened up so much opportunity, and if you apply yourself and are willing to learn the skill set, you can take advantage of it. So pay attention to the people who actually are doing it and who know what they're doing, and just ignore all the whiners and complainers, because like, it is a lot of work.
Right.
And it is, it is not without its risk, but it is totally possible to succeed and win.
Right. So, so what would you say to people that are that want to start or scale their e-commerce business? What would you tell them about the Keeney Ecommerce Mastermind?
I would say that it's a good investment. Understand that you need a testing budget, and that's just part of the way it works. But if you have a testing budget and can afford to join the group, it's definitely worth joining. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining me on this call this morning, and look forward to seeing a lot more from you and have you in the group call. I guess we've got one coming up too.
Yep. At 2 o'clock.
And I'm just going to I'm going to stop the Facebook Live, but just stand by for a moment.